You're selling your Saturn rocket? Well, your dad gave you that.
I don't want it anymore.
Sometimes I get so mad, I just want to strangle the man that did this to us.
There's a science to everything. We can't save them. Believe it or not, this was supposed to be a time machine. And now it's a gun that can fire a bullet into the past. All we need is a target.
You know that's impossible, right?
You forgot the soda again, didn't you? Sophie, baby. What's going on?
You were killed by a drunk driver.
This just doesn't make any sense.
I think I got the wrong shift note.
Looks right to me. Are there any changes that cannot be tied back to me?
It's way more complicated than that. It screws with your memory.
We have this power. Why shouldn't we use it?
It's too risky.
Hey, Riley. We did something that no one has ever done before.
But there is no undo button.
Second floor, room 216.
Oh my God.
It's an awful feeling to lose those you love.
But if we save her, everything resets.
I want to see Riley grow up. I want to see her go to college. I don't want to lose you.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are so happy to have with us a talented producer and director and now writer as well. I forgot about that. Jared, is it Moshe?
Moshe.
Moshe. Jared Moshe. And we're here to talk about your movie that was at Fantasia Film Festival, Aporia. Is that right? Did I get that title right?
That's correct. You got it.
Awesome. And can you tell the audience about Aporia? Because this movie is crazy.
Aporia is what I like to call is a time travel movie that never goes back in time. It's a movie starring Judy Greer, and she plays this character named Sophie, who is her husband was killed by a drunk driver about a little less than a year ago. And she's always been the provider for her family. And now she's struggling to be both the provider and the mother to their 12-year-old daughter, Riley, played by Faith Herman. And her only real support comes from her husband, Mal's best friend, Jabir, played by Payman Mahdi. And in his home country, he was a physicist. Here, he drives for Uber. And so after like a particularly bad series of events, he tells her, I actually might be able to help you. And he explains how his family was killed by the National Guard, and he tried to build a time machine to save them. But he really fucked it up. And instead, he built a machine that can murder people in the past. It's not very powerful, but it's powerful enough to kill the drunk driver before he killed her husband. And the story goes from there. And we have,
There's a lot of sadness in this movie, man. There just is, and it's a really well written script. So I wanted to ask you where you wrote this from. What was your angle writing this?
I wrote this a lot. It was a lot of me grappling with becoming a parent and suddenly finding the world to be a lot more scary and uncertain and than I ever thought it would be. You know, suddenly everything, all the things out there, like, getting my health insurance, getting, making sure we're gonna have food on the table, finding the next job, all became a hell of a lot scarier than they used to be. And so as I was grappling with that sort of feeling of uncertainty, I came up with this idea for a movie about a character grappling with that fear and uncertainty. I think I put a lot of my fears into this movie as I was sort of going through it. I mean, it's very personal in that way.
I feel like the feelings that you have here are universal because I had those same feelings when I first became a parent. It's a very intimidating job, and nobody can prepare you properly for it because everything changes. That kid is not the same as the other kid, or even if you've had multiple children, they're not the same. So I think that it's a job you can never prepare for. But I think that a lot of those fears are universal, and I think that's a theme in the film that makes this a little more devastating to watch to get through. And I like that though. I like to feel that. I
Yeah, I
wanted to ask
wanted people
you.
to feel that. That was really important to me. It's about them, what they were feeling, and that speaking to their emotional realities. Okay, go on.
No, perfect. That's exactly what I was hoping to get at. Was hey, you were intending to do that. Your cast is incredible. You just spoke on Edie and Judy and Payment and even though Faith. How did you put this cast together, and why was Judy the perfect person for Sophie?
Judy is the perfect person for Sophie because Judy is just this incredible actor who has perhaps the most expressive face I've ever worked with. She can, and that's why she's so good at comedy because she can express so much and go so big and show changes but it's also why I think she's an incredible dramatic actor and deserves way more roles like this. There's that moment in like The Descendants where she comes in and sees George Clooney and his comatose wife, and she has to convey that she knows that there's no secret here, like she knows everything, and she kind of gives him what he needs while also being really funny at the same time and uncomfortable, and it's just there's no other actor who could do anything like that. So when I was thinking of Sophie, who is this character who is feeling this maelstrom of emotion, Judy was perfect for it. And I was so lucky that she responded to the material, and she and I were able to sit down and go through it and really bring that character to life. And then once I had Judy on board, figuring out who would be the right Mal, it really Eddie Gathegi felt 100% perfect because if Judy is all energy and emotion, Eddie is all stillness. And he's got so much going on. His body can be such still in his performances, but he's got so much expressions in his eyes. And I felt like that would be a perfect counterpoint to Judy's sort of energy. And they worked fantastic together. And then rounding out the trio, I've loved Payman Madi since the separation. I saw him in a separation. He was always sort of the dream for that role as well. And Heyman is just such an empathetic actor that he felt like he could bring that empathy to this character who, had such an emotional well of empathy. It was very obvious. And I was just blessed that all three of them really responded to this role, to their roles. And then Faith Herman, I actually got to audition, which was like, wow, I'm auditioning Faith Herman from This Is Us and like Shazam. This is so cool. And, she just knocked it out of the park. I mean, I was like, oh, wow, you can totally do the early teen anger, angst, but without making it feel like over the top or like you're trying too hard. And she was great.
And she's really good in the movie. She's surprisingly good. Like children actors always surprise me sometimes when they're just really just good. And she's just a solid actress altogether. You know what I mean? On top of the fact that she's
100%. Yeah, she is a really great actor, and she just, was able to, hear direction really well, and she was really lovely to work with.
I love that. I'm going to close out by asking you one personal question, and it's the most hard question you will be asked today, probably, because it's difficult, but it tells us a lot about you. Let's say there are only two films you can watch for the rest of your life. What are they and why, Jared?
I would say Unforgiven, because that was a seminal piece of filmmaking. That movie the way that movie builds to its emotional catharsis at the end is so moving and gets me every time. I feel for William Munny. I think it's one of Gene Hackman's best performances as Little Bill. All around, I'm leaning forward on the edge of my seat, or I'm feeling so much, and I can just revisit that and revisit that and revisit that. And I'm going to say In the Mood for Love.
Oh, heck yeah. Wong Kar-wai
breaks my heart over and over again. And it is so beautiful. And it takes me to a place that just feels so magical and lovely. And I don't think there's a movie that captures the feeling of love better than that movie.
There isn't. That's actually my favorite Asian film ever made. Is In the Mood for Love. So I'm so glad you picked that. I love it.
It's a great movie.
That's such a great pick. Now, I don't have much time left, so could you give people the elevator pitch on why they need to see Aporia whenever it does come out, outside of the excellent Judy Greer performance?
So I think you should see Aporia, which comes out on August 11th. That you should see Aporia because, this is a movie that no matter what your lived life experience is, it's going to connect with you on an emotional way. It's going to make you feel, and it's going to make you think. And at the end of the movie, it's going to make you want to go home and hug the people in your life that you value more and you maybe take for granted.
That's 100% true, man. I wanted to go home and hug my son and my dog. Definitely. This is a fantastic movie, Jared, and I'm so glad that you made this. Guys, make sure you watch this film when it comes out August 11th. Jared, thank you so much for spending time with us. Judy Greer's been on a roll, and it just continues here with Aporia. Jared, have a great day.
Thanks. You too, man.